Look at that smile, what the
itself,
heck?
which is
That's creepy,
completely
man.
Open. There are no
That's
loading
really
screens at
creepy.
all.
The 10 most played MMORPGs going into 2022 by MMO Byte, and I think 2022 will be a good year for gaming. There's some interesting updates coming out, also in World of Warcraft and also other games that are not MMO, so yeah, let's have a look.
If I were to tell you that you had the opportunity here to win any MMORPG that you wanted, and you could do this completely free because we're giving away several copies of any paid MMORPG that you want to all of you because you guys have supported us all year and we would love to give back. Now, there are two different ways to participate. Number one, simply leave a comment on this video.
That's nice.
What MMO you would like. The Lost Ark Pre-Order, New World, Final Fantasy 14.
Hey, maybe I should participate.
Expansions, you name it. If you win, you can have it. Number two, simply navigate on over to our website at MMOByte.tv. The link to that will be in the description and the pinned comment below. There are multiple ways of
I think MMO Byte does very good game reviews, by the way.
Every single day by revisiting it, and that's it. Now, it is difficult finding an MMORPG to devote time to. Games either don't live up to the unrealistic hype that people create for them, or you happen across one that you genuinely like, that you are actually having fun in, and nobody else is. It's completely
all the devs ruin it in the future.
Entirely empty. And with so many MMOs having come out this year, PSO2 to Genesis, Swords of Legends Online, Bless Unleashed, Crowfall, Allion, New World, have the top 10 most played MMOs shifted? Is there something better out there right now at the end of the year that everyone is devoting their time to? Let's take a few minutes here and find out together, especially given that next month is the beginning of 2022 and you are going to want something big to play, right?
What's that? Maplestory.
Let's start this off with the only anime MMORPG in this list.
What is this game?
Maplestory. Maplestory released all the way back in 2003. This game has spawned a plethora of other titles under the same intellectual property. Maplestory M, which was received with moderate enthusiasm, and a sequel, Maplestory 2, that shut down.
I'm getting now freaking Super Mario vibes. Like, just look at that. Like, you're jumping around with your character. You have like those. What are those rocks that are like falling down? You have to like dodge them or something. Then you have to probably like jump on them or something. Like, this is like Super Mario right there.
A year after launching, neither title truly managed to capture the quirky style that Maplestory employs. This is the only MMO in this list to utilize a horizontal graphical style. You move your character horizontally.
It's definitely a different kind of MMO.
You can jump and you can climb.
What the heck?
But the bulk of the game takes place on one level. You take quests, you venture out, you group up with other players, you fight for control of the area, and you grind. The game is
that's what MMOs are all about, grinding, right?
Unbelievable grind, almost grindier than any other MMO
what would be an MMO without grinding?
In the last decade. Thankfully, it employs an incredibly fast, often chaotic action combat system to make up for the time that you spend engaged in combat. It's got an adorable anime-ish graphical style.
Wait a second. Was there someone like chasing someone with a Minecraft sword? Or was that? Yeah, holy shit. I've seen some of those TikToks. They are like really funny actually, of people trying to bring Minecraft into real life.
It's got an adorable anime-ish graphical style and gets updated repeatedly over the course of the year with new areas, new events, and new classes.
But how do you play this like an MMO?
Back to the game and is what
like, that's something I'm not getting about this game here. What is it called? Maplestory. It has like, from look, like you think about freaking like the Mario games, right? And if you're like an MMO, you make like big groups, you do like dungeons, raids, and all that stuff together. Can you actually do that in this MMO? It's interesting. I've never seen this game before. It does bring back some of my childhood memories when I think about like the Mario games and stuff, right? But interesting.
It makes it one of Nexon's highest grossing, most profitable.
And that's popular, this game?
Averaging hundreds of thousands of players across all regions per month. Yes, this list isn't including specifically English-speaking countries only.
Oh, that's still a thing?
Star Wars: The Old Republic released all the way back in 2011
yeah,
as
it's
part
old
of the greater
school
Star Wars franchise. Movies, TV series, video games, and while The Old Republic, the MMO, never truly lived up to the potential of the IP, It
Yeah,
still eventually
sadly.
found its footing and allowed for Star Wars fans to channel their inner fan. Now the Old Republic has had its highs and its lows, with its low points lasting significantly longer than its high points, granted, but that's partly due to how the game has been handled up until this point. This is an open world MMO with plenty of different regions and, as you'd expect, plenty of different highly diverse worlds to explore at your leisure.
It's actually sad about Star Wars, like the Old Republic. Like, it has tons of potential story, plot wise, and like what kind of classes you could add into that and all that kind of stuff with like the races. Like, there's so much potential, but it was like overshadowed by like bigger MMOs when it released, because there were like so many bigger MMOs at this time, especially like World of Warcraft, and we had like also like Elder Scrolls Online come like soon after, right? Like couple years later and stuff. So it was like overlooked completely, right? So yeah, I feel like bad for sometimes for like some new MMOs that come out, if they are like other MMOs that are like really really big and they are like trying to make a name for themselves, right? It's like really really challenging because they're like others that are already ruling the market basically. So yeah.
The Old Republic has one of the deepest, most compelling narratives of any MMO, and while that's 2 for 2 thus far, its combat is much less impressive. It utilizes a fairly basic tab target combat system that definitely looks and feels older than a 2011 MMO should, given Rift, Ion,
Yeah, and
Star
the
Wars.
graphics are
just released their latest expansion
for that year,
which has garnered quite a bit of attention and shot the game up to hundreds of thousands.
I just look at
of
Final
players over
Fantasy
the course of
XIV
the last
graphics,
month.
for example.
Now, how long this lasts, however, is another question altogether.
Oh yeah.
The Elder Scrolls Online released in 2014, a mere 7 years ago. It feels like it has been out longer though, right? That's not just me. Much like Star Wars
Because
The
of
Old Republic,
Skyrim,
the Elder
yeah.
Scrolls Online is set within an already existing franchise, the Elder.
But I feel like Elder Scrolls Online killed Star Wars: The Old Republic so much. Like when it launched, like there were like actually quite many people playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. Like I saw it actually also even on Twitch, sometimes a bit higher. And then Elder Scrolls Online came out. It was completely overshadowed by World of Warcraft and ESO.
Scrolls. You know, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Yes, I listed the 3 best in order of best to most overrated. And lower your pitchforks, guys. That's just my personal opinion. ESO has been pretty steady for the last couple years. It's never really had any large
yeah.
peaks in terms of growth, but
Sadly.
at the same time, it hasn't sunk very far beneath what it had.
Because they didn't want to fix the PvP lags and stuff. So many content creators quit.
A large open world to explore, action combat, a fairly extensive class system allowing you to more or less equip what you want in terms of weapons and armor, while giving you the freedom to craft your class in terms of skills however you like. Graphically, the game holds up well. It's
yeah,
one of
graphics
the
are
Western
pretty good.
MMOs out there, with Guild Wars 2 being the only real competition. ESO averages a couple 100,000 unique players per month and has been
like it's not just the graphics in ESO, but also like the world feeling and the different zones you can visit. Like you can go to Skyrim-like areas, and now with like there's also like a Skyrim expansion now that came out, like a DLC. So like the whole world feeling is really beautiful in ESO, but there was like one issue with ESO, and this happened like was it like 2016 or so, and that's when it kind of like died a little bit, like 16, 17. That the devs started like to not fix certain issues that were constantly pointed out in the forums. There was like massive lag in 0D in the PvP area, and there were some really really big content creators that would have like thousands of viewers at a time, right? And they were like pushed away from the game because they tried to make content and like live stream PvP and stuff, and it would constantly crash the server. It would lag so much, like bugs would appear. Then at some point they included certain sets that you need to wear in order to be best in slot for certain thingies, and then there was like an issue with those sets. Those were proc sets, and people don't want proc sets because proc sets are sets where you use like a certain skill and then like let's say a poison cloud appears or something like that, or your target gets poisoned, and like it became the meta to wear proc sets, and so many people said, no, I don't want to rely on proc sets. I just want to have a clean rotation with good stats, and why must I farm this set now and this and that? Didn't we have this set that boosts your critical and then your whatever strikes? Like, yeah, so like people got upset about what the devs did over the years to already existing content. So yeah, it sucks,
averaging roughly a similar
especially
amount
the
all
lag.
year.
Guild Wars 2 is
Guild
really
Wars
good.
2
I heard.
was
I never
released
played
back
it
in
before though.
2012 and has since gone on to become one of the most played free MMOs.
I would be
And
surprised
more
if
than
BDO is on
it's
that too.
generally considered to have the friendliest community of any MMO online. The
Oh,
main
I've
issue
heard that
with Guild
actually
Wars
too, that
2
they are so
is
social to
that for the
people.
last
They
several
easily
years,
help you and
content
stuff.
has been released fairly slowly. This is due to NCSoft being incompetent and inhibiting ArenaNet from truly making Guild Wars 2 one of the greatest MMORPGs of this generation. And with slow releases comes an expected decline in terms of player population. Although with the recent announcement of its latest expansion and of Dragons looming on the horizon,
Why have I not
players
tried
have
it
come
yet?
back in
I wonder.
droves to
I always
play
wanted to
catch-up,
try it, but I
and new
didn't.
players are jumping in to see what all the hype is about. Guild Wars 2 is a gorgeous game with an incredibly large world. It has plenty of class customization,
graphics are
an active
pretty
PvP
decent.
community, and one of the better narratives out there. The game utilizes a very high-quality hybrid action combat system, allowing for players to change
I think it's really
play
well
style
made.
by merely altering the weapon they have equipped. Now,
What
this
is this
one's
Star
a little bit
Citizen?
different. See, on the one hand, Star Citizen hasn't launched yet. It's an indie MMO that has been in development for years and has, over the course of its time spent in development,
Wait, what?
acquired hundreds of millions of dollars worth of funding. More funding than Final Fantasy XIV, more than
Then
World
what's
of
the
Warcraft,
issue with that game?
and we're still years, perhaps decades, off from being capable of playing a fully realized game. However, that hasn't stopped players from playing it in the form that it's available in. This is a very incomplete game with very few fully implemented features. Yet, last year they reported that they had, at their peak, hundreds of thousands of active players.
What?
Which
Really?
is some of the most ridiculous numbers that I have seen ever for an unreleased title that is still so far off from being ready.
It's actually interesting because if you look at it, it doesn't even look like a typical MMO. It looks like a freaking shooting game. Gives me like Halo vibes a little bit, to be honest.
Is some of the
Yeah,
most ridiculous
just like in Halo.
numbers that I have seen ever for an unreleased
Oh, imagine a
title
Halo
that is still
MMO.
so far
Wow.
off from being ready.
Oh, RuneScape?
RuneScape is the oldest title in this list, releasing all
Yeah.
the way back in
That's how a lot of
2001.
content creators
I'm not entirely
started,
certain
actually.
how this game has retained the player base that it has, but I guess that is just a testament to how good the game must be, right? Now, I have never dedicated much time to
It's
the
one
game.
of the-
I'll be the first to
Like, the interesting thing about RuneScape is like one of the first MMO titles that actually got like the genre, like the gaming genre, so popular. Like, if it wasn't for RuneScape and World of Warcraft, I don't think the MMO genre as a whole would be as popular as it is today. I feel like it started with RuneScape and continued with WoW. Like, let's be real here.
admit that not every person is going to enjoy every MMO, right? It's asinine to believe that anyone would enjoy every single title in this list.
The combat is
RuneScape
really
an
clunky,
enormous
right?
game with more content
That's not all the
than you
game.
can realistically dream of partaking of if you're a new player. Sure, it is very dated, both in terms of how it looks
Yes,
and
now die.
how it plays, but that's part of its appeal. Even though
What
it's
options
2
you have here,
decades
that's funny.
old at this juncture, this game, these developers, they push out more updates than almost any of its competitors, paid or free. Thankfully, player numbers are public.
They also have a
so
classic
we can
server, I
see
heard.
that there are hundreds of thousands of active players at almost any point in the day,
Wow.
even if some people claim that half of them are bots. And yes, this is including both RuneScape and old school RuneScape in one.
BDO, I knew
Black
it would be on
Desert
the list.
Online
I knew
released
that.
way back in 2014. Yeah, almost 8 years ago. 8 years. And in all that time, not a single MMORPG released has come close to competing with the game's dominance over the market in terms of graphics or combat.
I nearly got also into BDO. Like, one of my friends was playing it like so freaking much. Like, I would always see him on Discord on it. He would also stream it and stuff. And I was like, should I get this game or not? And then I saw it was like so crazy grindy where you have to, like, at least he was doing that, and I saw like others do it. You have to constantly make rounds, kill those mobs like a million times to grind. And I was like, okay, this is a bit more grindy than all the other MMOs. Like, I want some more story attached to my grind. Like I quest through the world, then I reach like max level, then I start doing like first dungeons, get like my best in slot gear and stuff after a while, right? But this is like so much mob grinding. That's probably why I didn't get into it back in the day. I'm not sure if it's different now, but back in the day it was grindy.
The pinnacle of the MMORPG
But
genre.
graphics are nice.
That one game that every MMO has to live up to, and
Yep.
I can honestly understand why. Not only is this game absolutely
Look at that
stunning,
smile.
world
What the
itself,
heck?
which is
That's creepy,
completely
man.
Open, there are no
That's
loading
really
screens
creepy.
at all. Entirely explorable without limitations, whether on land or sea.
Yeah, the
But
landscape
depth
is
of
pretty.
The character customization is unrivaled. Name
Yeah.
one MMO with as good of a creator.
Okay,
as
maybe
you.
Final Fantasy
You won't
XIV
find
can
one.
catch
Couple
up with
that
them
with some of the
when it comes
best
to
action
design, like from
combat,
character.
and you have what should be the best MMORPG available. Yet, due to its horrendous pay to win, its RNG, and its grind, it
Yeah,
ultimately
the
falls
grind.
short. Pearl Abyss have confirmed hundreds of thousands of active players.
I actually think if the grind was more like questing and main story related, I think this game would be way bigger, in my opinion.
On the higher end of the spectrum, which sets it above almost every other MMO in this list.
Or New World.
While New World
The
is
game we
less
had
than
the
2
most
months old
hopes
at this
for.
point, it is definitely worth noting
Yes.
that even with all of its issues, all of the exploits, all of the hacks, the duplication of items,
There are way too many bugs in
the
this
lack
game.
of endgame, Amazon's poor handling of all of this, their choice to make the grind even longer in a recent update, there are still hundreds of thousands of people playing this. At the time of writing, there was still a peak of 132,000 players concurrently logged in.
But
with
now
likely
it's
over 1 million
declining,
players
sadly.
Still playing over the course of the last month minimum. New World features a large open world, albeit the world itself seems to lack much in diversity, both with regards to the environment and the monsters found within it. It utilizes an action combat system that honestly isn't bad, but I don't know, it felt too limiting to me when I played it. There's an extensive crafting system.
Yeah, the thing is also we have no mounts. If you had mounts, it would be easier to explore. You have to constantly run from A to B or teleport around. I think that's a bit annoying. I hope in the future they're gonna add some mounts to New World.
A territory system and so much more that is completely overshadowed by how often new exploits are revealed and taken advantage of, repeatedly ruining the experience for everyone playing.
Sadly. Ah, World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, released back in 2004 and up until 2020, was the most populated MMORPG. It was completely unrivaled. Nothing came close to competing with it, especially after WoW Classic launched.
Oh,
Yet,
yeah.
like everything, eventually,
A lot of players came back.
things fall into obscurity. And while WoW is admittedly far from falling into obscurity, with the game still having over 1 million active players across both retail and WoW Classic, it's a far cry from what it once was. This
Sadly,
is evident
yes.
by the premature and
Decline of
Shadowlands and
player
their
base.
mad rush to push out something new to reignite the player base's passion to play through something new and potentially exciting. WoW is definitely a dated looking game for most of it anyway. Newer zones are absolutely gorgeous, and the game
Like, the thing is, there's nothing wrong by pushing out new content or expansions. But yeah, if you rush stuff and you cut out a lot of what you originally planned as well, and you make like very, very complex systems that the players didn't want, and this with the conduits and all that stuff, like, I don't know if that's, like, you have to plan well and take your time. That's my opinion.
features what is arguably the best tab target combat within the genre, with the exception maybe being Ion or Arcade. It also features more lore than almost any other game that
That's
I have
true.
ever
The
seen.
lore is
MMO,
so huge in
non-MMO,
WoW.
But its story has just become so disconnected and such a convoluted mess that it's
Sadly,
almost
yes.
funny trying to keep track of what's going on.
Oh, Final Fantasy XIV,
And
yeah.
finally,
This is so
Final
big.
Fantasy 14.
And now with
Final
Endwalker.
Fantasy
Ooh.
14 released initially back in 2010 and was such a critical failure that they overhauled the game from the ground up.
Crazy that they
costing
made it so
hundreds
popular
of
from such
millions
being
of
such a
dollars.
failure, right?
This was the largest failure and subsequently the largest undertaking in the entire MMO genre, and has since paid off given that it is now the most played, most popular MMORPG, and with Endwalker having just launched into early access, and both Mrs. Stakes and I playing through it, this is probably going to be the largest year for the game to date. Final Fantasy XIV already confirmed that they had hit their highest concurrent player numbers before the mass exodus of players, and the combination of those additions to the game with fans are going to make queue times almost unbearable. Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but the thing about Final Fantasy XIV is it's also a game where you don't feel like you're wasting your time in. Like, if you play a MMO, like, you don't want to feel like you're wasting your time. You want to feel like you want to waste your time or something like that. Like, you probably get what I mean, right? Like, you want to log on and you want to play for hours. You don't want to feel like I must log on and I must play for hours. You want to log on for hours and not like you feel like you must log on for hours. That's the thing. And that's what Final Fantasy XIV does such a good job in, giving you this feeling that you want to waste your time on it.
Fantasy XIV features a large open world, with each expansion introducing even larger areas than the last. It's a gorgeous game with an incredible narrative. Shadowbringers
the story
was
is
the best
10 out of
storytelling
10
that I have ever seen in an MMO, and I have played through almost all of them. Its combat isn't the best, sure, but it's good enough that it doesn't bring the game down, it doesn't hinder or inhibit it. The amalgamation of everything that Final Fantasy XIV does right has shown continued success, with the game once being rivaled by Guild Wars 2 and now tripling, maybe quadrupling it in terms of active player numbers. Nobody ever thought
I think
that
the
Final
active
Fantasy
player numbers are
XIV
really
would
high.
dethrone WoW. They thought, you know, sure, WoW would do that to itself.
It's a big
and
success.
Final Fantasy XIV would continue down the route that it was going. Boy, were we wrong. And that is everything. They are the 10 most played, most populated MMORPGs in 2021, in December specifically, moving into 2022. Were they what you expected?
I actually totally agree with those MMOs, the 10 here. And yeah, Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, and New World are probably like, are they like the top 3 right now? Who knows? But yeah, there's some also really promising games coming out. I look at, I think Lost Ark will be really, really nice. Bitcraft maybe, it looked interesting in the trailer, and Ashes of Creation will be a big title probably. So yeah, I'm really curious. And what do you guys think about those top 10? Do you agree with those top 10? What do you feel like is like super popular now? And yeah, this was an interesting video to check out. If you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content, and I would also really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. Like, any like will help with the YouTube algorithm, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.